I've got another game for you from Tata Steel, so thank you for joining me. This one between Richard Rapport of Romania, so number 15 in the world, a grandmaster, rated 2740, playing against world number one Magnus Carlsen in this one. Magnus playing the white pieces. Let's go ahead and get right into the game. Magnus begins with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, and knight to f6. So this is the Petrov's defense. Magnus captures on e5, as that often happens in this position. We have pawn to d6. Very common. This has been played tens of thousands of times, but this move, not so much. This is a very rare move, only played in 19 games. It is a known move, but as I said, very rare here. So knight now captures on e4 by Rapport, and this is what is played in all 19 of those games. Queen now to e2 by Magnus, and now queen to e7 by Rapport. Knight now to f4 by Magnus, and Rapport moves his pawn to c6. Computer likes knight to c6 better there, and well, so do I. But yeah, pawn to c6 is a good move. Pawn now to f3 by Magnus, best possible move. Knight back to f6 by Rapport, and now Magnus plays pawn to d4. Bishop to f5 now by Rapport, and Magnus plays pawn to c4 here. Again, the best possible move in the position. Pawn now to h5 by Rapport, and now Magnus plays knight to c3 here. I should have said that actually when the bishop came out several moves ago, when the bishop came out here, this became a brand new game. So when Rapport played bishop to f5, that was a move that wasn't ever played before. So we're already into a new game. We'll continue now. We have king to f2 by Magnus, and this was not the best way to go. Just an inaccuracy though, but we'll go ahead and check it out since these gentlemen played a fantastic, near perfect game, both of them. So we'll take a look at how Magnus could have done better. So Magnus should have played bishop to d2 here. Best for black would be knight back to c7. White should then castle queenside. Queen should capture queen on e2 for black. Bishop captures e2, taking the queen for white. And this would have been a better way for Magnus to play, as yeah, his rook's able to get activated and his king is pretty safe. But that's not what happened on the chessboard. Let's go back and see what actually did happen on the chessboard right now. So Magnus plays king to f2, and we continue. We got knight to b4 by Rapport, and Magnus plays his queen back to d1 here. We have castles long by Rapport, and now Magnus plays knight to d3. We have pawn now to d5, best possible move for Rapport, and now pawn to c5 by Magnus. The Romanian Grandmaster plays knight to d3. This was not the best move in the position, and we'll look at how black could have done this better with bishop captures on d3 instead. So instead, the Romanian Grandmaster should have played bishop captures on d3. Best for white would be bishop captures on d3 back. Black should play knight to e4 check. Bishop should capture on e4. Pawn captures on e4 for black. And now knight captures on e4 for white. Queen now to d7 would be best for black, and then white should go ahead and kick the knight with pawn to a3, knight back to d5 here, and this would have been a better way to play for black than what actually happens on the board for Rapport here. But let's go back to that board now. So instead, Rapport plays knight captures knight on d3 check. We have bishop captures d3 by Magnus. Knight now to e4 by Rapport, and Magnus plays the great move pawn captures on e4. We have pawn captures on e4, I should say d captures on e4 by Rapport, and now Magnus moves his bishop back to e2. Queen now to f6, threatening some discovered checks here by moving the bishop, unleashing it on the king. Magnus just goes ahead and moves his bishop to e3 here, which is not the best move in the position. He should have instead moved his rook to f1, and we will take a quick look at that variation now. So Magnus should have moved his rook to f1, and then best for black would be bishop captures on c5, as that pawn is pinned to the queen by the rook there on d8. Then bishop to e3 would be best for white. Bishop captures d4 would be best for black. Bishop captures back on d4 would be best for white. Rook captures d4 now, and queen now to c1. And this would have been a better way to play for Magnus than the way things should have turned out on the chessboard, although they do go pretty well for Magnus nonetheless. Let's go back to actually what happened on the board now. So Magnus plays bishop to e3, and we continue. We have bishop now captures c5 by Rapport. Magnus plays rook to f1 here. We now have queen to h4 by the Romanian Grandmaster. It would have been better actually to play bishop to f6 here, and we'll take a quick look at that variation now. So Rapport should have played bishop to e6, the discovered check upon the king. Best for white would be king to g1 here, and then black should play bishop captures on d4. We'd have queen to d2 would be best for white, and now bishop captures on e3, best for black. Now queen captures on e3, best for white, and the queen should reposition to d4 for black, and white would be obligated to capture with queen captures d4, rook captures d4, and this would have been a better way for black to play, although white is still winning in the position. Let's go back to what actually happened on the chessboard now. So Rapport plays queen to h4, and we continue. Magnus puts his king on g1 here, and now bishop to d6 by Rapport. Magnus goes ahead and captures the bishop on f5, as there is no mate. The king can run. And now we have queen captures on h2 by Rapport. Magnus moved his king to f1. And now we have queen to h1 by Rapport. Magnus blocks with his bishop, putting it on g1. And now we have pawn to g6 by Rapport. Magnus captures the pawn on f7. And now we have rook h to f8 by Rapport. Magnus defends his rook with bishop to c4. We now have bishop to h2 by Rapport, putting two attackers on the g1 bishop. So Magnus moves his king to f2, enabling the queen to help defend. And now we have rook captures on f7 by the Romanian Grandmaster. Of course, we have bishop captures on f7, but now rook to f8, pinning that bishop to Magnus's queen. Magnus goes ahead and plays queen to b3, defending, best possible move. And of course, the rook is helping to defend the bishop. We now have bishop captures bishop on g1 by Rapport, and Magnus plays rook captures bishop here. Rapport moves his queen to h4 with check, and Magnus moves his king to e2. The engine saying it would have been slightly better to go ahead and push the pawn, attacking the queen, but king to e2 is a good move, so we'll continue. We now have queen to g4 with check, and now Magnus moves his king to d2. We have queen to f4 with check, forking the bishop and the king, and now Magnus plays king down to d1. We have rook captures f7 now, since there were two attackers on that rook, best possible move. And now Magnus plays knight to e2 here, attacking the queen. Rapport moves his queen to f5 here, and now Magnus plays queen to h3, forcing the trade of queens. We, of course, have queen captures on h3 by Rapport, and Magnus plays g captures h3, taking his queen. Rook now to f3 by Rapport, and Magnus plays rook to g3. And it is on this move, on move 36, that Richard Rapport, the Romanian Grandmaster, number 15 in the world, does resign the game to the world champion. The embattled world champion, I should say, because Magnus had lost two previous games back-to-back. So, yeah, he was due to win a game, and it was just unfortunate for Rapport that he had to face the wrath of the world champion. So Rapport resigned, but the game could have continued with something like rook f1, and best for white would be just simply king to d2, And then probably something like h4 would have been best for black, but then just rook to g4 would be best for white. And now g5, best for black. Rook takes g5 would be best. And black might go ahead and play rook f3 here, going after the h3 pawn. Knight to c3 would be the best way to play here for white. e3 check, best move for black, but king to e2 then could be played for black, although king to d3 might be okay as well. Rook takes h3, best for black. And now just rook to g2. Rook to h1 would be best here. And then just king takes h3. And then just king takes e3. And really, between the knight and the rook and the king activity, this pawn is not going to make it. And yeah, black is down a full piece. So this is just not playable. So it does make sense that Richard Rapport, number 15 in the world, did resign this game to the world champion. Anyway, thank you for joining me for that. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, as I will be covering all of the decisive games from the Tata Steel tournament, as well as other tournament games. Please let me know if there's a tournament or a chess player you think I should cover some of their games or some of that tournament, because yeah, I'm interested in knowing what you guys are all interested in. So yeah, thank you for joining me, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.